Good afternoon. I'm Tech Sergeant Mark Robles, and I'm going to give you a quick rundown on what the 854th is and its current culture status. I found this article online. It was really hard to find some kind of information on the 854th. I guess I should know since I'm part of that unit, but we don't have a real homepage. We're a small group, and we're still fairly new, even though we were just set up in 2014. But I found this one article online, and it's really good, so let me read it to you real quick. It says the Air Force Reserve Command activated the 960th Cyberspace Operations Group, Detachment 1, and redesignated at the 854th Combat Operations Squadron during a recent ceremony at Joint Base San Antonio, Lackland, Texas. The squadron, now the only Cyberspace Operations Center, has been tasked with integrating citizen airmen into the active duty 624th Operations Center Cyberspace Command and Control mission. The Scorpions join an elite group of nearly 800 reservists working in cyberspace operations, states the April 5th release. This unique part of our unit is that we've been fully integrated with active duty missions since day one, said Lieutenant Colonel Samuel McLennan, the 854th Combat Operations Squadron Director of Operations. So this article was written in 2014. At the time, he was the Lieutenant Colonel. And that's kind of what we hold our hat on, that we're the Reserve Associated Unit to the 624th Operations Center. That being said, the culture in the 854th has been extremely volatile. We've gone through different commanders, we've gone through different colonels, we've gone through different first sergeants, and we are really never ever been close to maybe 85% manning. It's a small unit, we don't have a lot of people, and some people are double, triple tasked. And you alone are figured out, to do a lot of things on your own. For some fairly new airmen, it's been really hard, but for older people and been in the reserves for a while, it's pretty easy because you have a lot of leniency, a lot of freedom, and you kind of get to, make your own way and get by. That being said, that makes the culture just different. It depends on who you ask and what day of the week it is. And in our unit, you almost have two different individual units. So you have the 854th as a whole is one whole unit, but inside that unit, you have everybody who's actually on full duty AGR positions, active duty IMAs. So the people that go there Monday through Friday, 24/7, those people actually have their own little clique, I would say, and they get a lot of things. There seems to be a lot more favoritism, I guess. So Monday through Friday, they're there, and then when it comes to drill weekend for the rest of us guys, the commander and the first sergeant, they only see our face, 3 days a week at the most, maybe 2 days. Sometimes not even at all if you reschedule your drill weekend. But the guys that are there on active duty orders, they see them all the time. So when it comes to promotions and rewards and recognition and first dibs for volunteering assignments and things like that, they all get first dibs. And so that turmoil and that stigmatism sits to the unit the whole time somebody's there. I've been there for a little over I got there over 6 years, and since day one it's been that way. I've been on active duty orders, and you can still see you can see how it happens because you see those people every day and you get to build rapport with them. So you have that one-on-one with active duty and the one-on-one with your full-time guys. So when the reserve guys just come in on the drill weekend, it's hard for them to make that big of an impression on 2 days versus what you could do Monday through Friday. And that builds a lot of lack of trust, lack of commitment for some of the units. The majority of the people, though, will say it's a good unit. And if you ask anybody on TV or camera, they're going to tell you it's a great unit, culture-wise. I think they've been placed in a hard situation, leadership-wise, because they're given from big Air Force limitations on finances, on people, and on resources. And that's being as a reserve unit, you don't get the full appreciation, I guess, is the full equipment or whatever you need to make the unit function well, because we're only a reserve unit. So we're kind of like the bastard child to the active duty guys. And then with that being said, inside our own culture, we have the full-timers and the regular reservists. So it makes it really hard to describe the culture in the 854th. The culture, in my personal point of view, the culture in the 854th has come a long way. It could be better, but it's done very well for what it's been handled down. The leadership, we've had good and bad, just like any other Air Force unit, but the leadership we currently have now is really good. They come out with a cyber tell, what's going on during the week, and they have a little blurb down here on the bottom for leadership and what the schedule is going to be like, and hails and farewells and birthdays, and they try to make everything transparent. And that was a big thing our first unit didn't have. There was no transparency. It was, this is the way it's going to be, shut up in color and go forth. And that built a lot of lack of trust. That kind of brings me to my second point, the healthy and unhealthy elements in an organization. There was a lot of lack of trust, a lot of lack of financial resources, so we couldn't put people in orders. We didn't have money to send people for training, but that came down from the leadership. The leadership was never there, so they weren't putting the time or effort into it. That was our portion of view from NCOAs and troops and airmen below, that if the leadership's not there, they must not be doing anything. And that's how it came across, and at that time we had a really bad culture. And this was just less than 6 months ago. Now with the big merger from the Air Force, from the numbered Air Force, we got better guidance, and then we actually broke off the 854th and built another unit inside the 854th, or not a unit, but a detachment at the Joint Force headquarters. So we do that as well. But the current culture in the 854th has come a long way, and it's on a scale 1 to 10, I would say it's an 8. There's definitely room for improvement, but they're working on building the trust. They're working on being 100% transparent. They're working on holding people accountable. We've seen the big difference between the unhealthy culture and the healthy culture. The unhealthy culture, you have people don't want to be there. You're locked up in a skiff for 48 hours with complete strangers, and nothing gets done. There was a lot of verbal altercations. There was a lot of no physical confrontations, but there was the elephant in the room. People punch in, punch out, and we were gone. Never see it again. Things weren't getting done. People weren't getting their readiness done, and there was, and every time somebody would talk to you, it was negative, because this didn't get done or your troop didn't get it done, and that was really bad. We lost a lot of people, a lot of good people, and people just got tired of it. Saying, I'm having to do the job of 4 or 5 different people because these people don't want to come in and do their part, and that's because there was the morale. There was no trust, there was no commitment, there was no what am I getting out of this, there was no appreciation, there was nothing, and to that extent. And that's really bad coming from a first-term airman or a first-term guys coming out of boot camp. They come straight to the unit and then have that as their first impression. And so a lot of people, including me, we made it very verbal that this is what's going to happen. You're going to lose a lot more people, including us, if this were to continue. I'm not saying we had a part in fixing the unit, but something happened, something changed. We got all new leadership, and things started going up for the better. We have a full-blown SAP training now. We never had that before. We would just kind of pencil whip things. We were pencil whipping training records, and it's come a long way. There's the big key points are there's trust now, there's understanding, there's commitment, and training wise, things that needed to get done are getting done. It's not very hard to find somebody to step up and say, hey, I need this done. I need the recall roster done. I need the fitness schedule done. Before, people would just scram and you couldn't find anybody. What else? Let's see here. The role in shaping, strengthening, and maintaining the organizational culture. I think I've already touched on that. That's kind of where I said that multiple people stood up. At the time, I was just a staff, and said, hey, this is what's going on. You're expecting us to do X, Y, Z, but you're not giving us any kind of guidance, any kind of time, any kind of resources to do this. We're only here for 2 days, and you give us 5,000 things to do. In addition to that, you want us to go to change of commands and birthdays and hails and farewells. I said, there's no enough time, and we're not going to stay here after 5 o'clock to get that done on our personal time, or we're not going to do it Monday through Friday on our personal time when we're not getting paid to do it. And that was the beginning signs of there was an unhealthy relationship in our unit. In conclusion, the 854th is a great unit now, culture-wise. We have trust, it's transparent, we have commitment, people volunteer, the training is getting done, and the leadership is backing our people up. There's a lot more positive reinforcement in the unit.